Hello everyone, I hope you all are fine. Today we are going to read our chapter number 2 of English class 5. The name of the chapter is George and Ranji. So let's start. The name of the chapter is George and Ranji. An eccentric person is someone whose behavior is considered by others to be strange or unusual and who is sometimes hospitalized so that they can be given medical treatment. Now here in this chapter we are talking about a eccentric person. Eccentric person means their behavior is not like normal person. They create disturb and they create difficulty or trouble for the other people, and sometimes they became so unusual in their behavior that we have to take them to the hospital for their treatment. It is easy to deal with such a person. Here is a story about a delightfully eccentric man. Now this is the story about a type of person whose behavior was not normal. No, so let's see what is in the story. When I heard that my cousin George had again escaped from the mental hospital in a neighboring town, I knew it would not be long before he turned up at my doorstep. Now, I means the writer is saying my cousin is called brother. Okay, his brother's name was George, and George was a eccentric person. Eccentric means the person who is not having a normal behavior, okay, normal nature. So he escaped is called means go out from someone without telling anyone. So he gone out from a mental hospital in the neighboring town is called nearby city, means the writer was living in another city, and George has come from mental hospital without telling anyone and went in the near city, another city. So I was thinking, if George has come out from the mental hospital, then he must be coming to me also. George was admitted in a mental hospital. Mental hospital is a place where these type of peoples are kept for their treatment, and the doctors treat them and try to make their behavior normal. It usually happens at the approach of the cricket season. Approach is called means something about to come. Okay, cricket season means when the season is there, like IPL matches and one day matches, test matches, they are going to happen. That is called cricket season. So whenever the cricket season came, George always do that. Means George always come out from the mental hospital without telling anyone, because he likes, I think he like cricket very much, it seems. No problem, I thought. I will just bundle him into a train and take him back to the hospital. Now the writer was thinking, no problem, let George will come. I will bundle. Bundle means I will take him safely and send him quickly to the railway station so that he can get on the board on the train, and I will send him back to hospital. Cousin George had been there off and on. Now off and on means off in some time, means like time to time. Okay, means George came out from mental hospital and come to the cousin's home time to time. He wasn't the violent type and was given a certain amount of freedom. Means he was not violent. Violent is called attacker. Means if you are not having the normal behavior, maybe everybody will think you are a mad person. That's why you are admitted in the mental hospital. Means you can do anything with any person anytime. But this was not with the George was not violent. Means there was no dangerous, no horrible things in his nature. So that's why the hospital staff and everybody gives some freedom. Freedom means when you want to do something with your according to your choice. Okay, with the result that he occasionally wandered off by himself. Now wandered off means going here and there. Okay, he was not violent, means all the person was saying that yes, this is the person is not having, George is not having normal behavior, but he cannot attack anyone, he cannot be create difficult for anyone, so difficulty for anyone. So that's why he has given some type of freedom. Yes, you can go for some time here and there, and then you can occasionally is called time to time. Okay, then to try and take in. Now take in means to go and see the match, means he just, why he went out, why he escaped from the hospital, because nobody will give the permission that you go and see the match. And George very much like to see the cricket match, so that's why he escaped from the hospital. And why? Because he want to see the match. Taken means to see, go and see the cricket match, a test match. You see, George did not suffer from the delusion. Now delusion is called a false belief about oneself, means when you are thinking, no, this is false about me, I'm not doing this, means everybody is telling this thing about me, but this is false, I'm not like that. So this type of thing is not there in George. Okay, George was not suffering from any type of false belief about himself that he was Napoleon or Genghis Khan, means these type of people like who are not having normal behavior, normally we call mad people. Okay, so mad people sometimes understand themselves that I am a king, I am a Nawab, I am a film director, I am so big personality. So this type of thing now means they lives in dreams. So this type of thing was not in George behavior. He was convinced that he was a great Ranji, the prince of cricketers. Now means when you are not having normal behavior, these mad people, they always put themselves in any celebrities personality. Okay, so some tell I am a king, so and some other tell I am a Nawab, but George think about himself, I am Ranji. Ranji is the name of the person who was the prince of cricketers, means Ranji was a cricketer and he plays cricket so well that he is called prince of cricketers. So George think about himself, I am not George, I am Ranji. And that he had just been selected to captain of India, quite forgetting that Ranji had actually played for England. And what he used to say, what George used to say, see, I am not George, I am Ranji, the princess of the cricketer, but I am going to become the captain of Indian team. Means Ranji was a player of England team, but this thing George was not knowing. George was thinking Ranji was a cricketer from Indian team, so he was thinking himself, see, I am Ranji and I am going to become the captain of India to play the test match. So when George turned up on my front step, I was not surprised to find him carrying a cricket bat in one hand and a protective box in other. So now George went to another city, and after some time he came to the cousin's home. He came to his cousin's home, and what he was carrying, in one hand he was carrying a bat and in one hand he was carrying a protective box. So the writer is not got surprised. Surprise is called wondered suddenly, means who came. The writer was knowing. Writer already knows George will come. George will definitely come. Cricket season came, now George will come. So he did not get surprised, and he saw George. He saw George with one bat in one hand, and in one hand he is carrying a protective box. Now what is protective box? When you are playing cricket, you have to put a safety box, a protective box around your waist, so that when the batsman hit the ball now, then you cannot get hit by that. Means the ball cannot hit you. So the protective box is a type of piece especially designed plastic that a cricketer wears just below the front of his waist to protect himself while batting. So whoever is doing batting, the batting person, the batsman used to wear that protective balls to protect his body from the batting. Are you not ready? He asked. The match starts at 11. Now George came to his cousin's house and he was asking, are you not ready? We have to go to see the match. See, the matches start at 11 o'clock. Now, the writer name is Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond wrote this story. So, writer was saying, there is plenty of time, I said. He was saying, no, we have so much time that the train left at 11:15. Why don't you come in and relax while I get ready? Now, he was saying, see, the train left at 11:15. Okay, so we have enough time. You come inside, take some rest. George sat down and asked for a glass of juice. I brought him one and he promptly emptied it over a pot of ferns. Now George sit down when I tell him to come inside, and he sit down and ask, please give me a glass of juice. Then the writer bring one glass of juice, and he quietly at one time, means a pot of ferns, means at one time without taking the breath, he just empty is called. Now there was no juice left in the glass, all the juice finished in one draught. They look thirsty, he said. Now he was saying they are looking thirsty, means they want to drink something. I dressed hurriedly, anxious to get moving before he started practicing his latest cuts on my cut glass decanter. Now the writer was thinking I should get ready, otherwise George is going to be very anxious. Anxious is called concern, means worried. George is going to say me, get ready again and again. So I go and start getting ready before he is going to show his cuts. Now cuts is called stroke. Here cuts means stroke. Stroke means when you hit the ball with the bat, like you 4 runs and 6 runs, then we say na nice stroke, like that. So he is going to start playing cricket in my home, that's why I go, and he is going to hurt my cut glass decanter. Now cut glass decanter means glass decanter is some type of decorative bottle is there, and a type of glass that is going to be drink, means in that decorative glass he has offered him juice. So if he start playing match in my house, he is going to break my decanter, break my juice glass, very decorative juice glass. Then arm in arm we walked to the gate and hailed an auto rickshaw. Now arm in arm means the George is holding my hand, I am holding George's hand, and we both came out from the home and we hailed. Hailed is called an auto rickshaw. Auto rickshaw, please stop. Railway station, I whispered to the driver. Firoz Shah Kotla. Now I whispered is called to say something very dimly, means nobody can listen, so very low tone I said, auto rickshaw, we have to go to railway station. And what is the name of the railway station? Firoz Shah Kotla. Now George's rising tone naming Delhi's famous cricket ground. Now Firoz Shah Kotla means there is a Firoz Shah Kotla, the name of cricket audit ground is there in Delhi, that is very famous cricket ground, okay. And there is also a railway station, Firoz Shah Kotla railway station at the same area. So I was telling that name of Firoz Shah Kotla railway station to the auto driver very low, but George was saying in a loud voice, Firoz Shah Kotla, that was a Delhi's famous cricket ground. No matter, I thought, I will straighten out. Now straighten out means when you are going, means I said okay, that's okay if George is saying that name is so loudly, because he wants to go to Firoz Shah Kotla ground. So I straighten out means make the driver understand the problem, means I was saying very calmly and he was saying very loudly, so I make the driver understand we have to go to Firoz Shah Kotla. Then the driver, as we go along, I bundled George into the rickshaw and we were soon heading in the direction of Kotla. Bundled is called, again I make the George to sit inside the auto rickshaw. I also sit in the auto rickshaw, and then auto rickshaw was going towards the in the direction of Kotla. Railway station, I said again in tones that I could not be denied. Now denied is something that means utterly, means I was saying so low, in so low tone, then the auto rickshaw was hardly can listen. So I was telling him, see, we have to go to railway station. Again I said the same thing. Kotla, said cousin George just informally. Now my as I told him again, and George was also told him. George again told, no, we are going Kotla. Kotla means the famous cricket ground, and he said it very firmly. Means I was getting nervous. I was saying in low tone, but George was saying in high tone. Kotla means in cricket ground. The scooter driver kept right on course for the cricket ground. Now George was saying so loud voice, so auto rickshaw driver was listening to George very much carefully, and he was heading towards the Firozshah Kotla cricket ground. Apparently George had made a better impression on him, because George make good impression on him, because George was saying the name of Firozshah Kotla very loudly and I was saying in a low tone. So auto rickshaw driver was thinking, I am not sure where I have to go, and George is the intelligent person, he knows where we have to go. So he was listening to George and he impressed him. Look, I said, tapping the driver on the shoulder. Then again I called the driver, tapping on his shoulder, and said, this is my cousin and he is not quite right in the head. I want to make him understand that my friend George is not having the normal behavior. He is just escaped from a mental asylums, and if I'm not get him back there tonight, we must catch the 11:15 train. Means he want to make auto rickshaw driver understand that my cousin George is not having normal behavior. He came from a mental asylum. Asylum is called hospital. He came from a mental hospital, and again I have to take him back to the hospital, and we have to catch the train of 11:15. Means I want to go to Firozshah Kotla railway station, from where the train goes on 11:15, and George want to go to Firozshah Kotla cricket match ground. There the match is going to be start on 11. So the name of the place is same. See, don't get confused. The name of the place is same. Firozshah Kotla in Delhi is also a cricket ground, and Firozshah Kotla is a name of also a railway station that is in the area of Kotla. So driver get confused. Driver was not knowing he has to go to railway station of Kotla or he has to go to cricket ground of Kotla. Now the scooter driver slowed down and looked from cousin George to me and back again. Now we are speaking all the different things. I was speaking railway station, George was speaking cricket ground. So driver get confused. Now he looked back and is staring at me, looking at George. He was not understanding where he needs to go. George gave him a winning smile and, looking in my direction, tapped his forehead significantly. Now significantly is called importantly. Now George started smiling and he pointed towards me and then tapped his forehead. Means he was just telling the driver that, see, I am not a mad person, he is a mad person. Means George made me a mad person. The driver nodded in sympathy and kept straight on for the Kotla. Sympathy is called when you have a very kind intention, kind type of feeling for anyone. So driver nodded is called to bend down his head. So driver listened to him, down his head, and having sympathy, having a kind intention for me, kind feeling for me, and then he started going to Kotla cricket ground. Means he listened to George. I have always believed that the dividing line between sanity and insanity is a very thin one. Now sanity is called when you are having a normal behavior, and insanity when you are in the state of abnormal behavior. So writer was saying, I was thinking there is very thin line. Means very easily a normal behavior can be turned in abnormal behavior, but I had never realized it was quite so thin, too thin for my own comfort. But he was not thinking that so easily. Means the line that divides two things, that is called dividing line. That line between the normal and or abnormal behavior became so thin that I became so mad. Means George made me mad, as I was a normal person. George was a mad person, but he made me mad so easily, and that is too thin for my comfort. Who was crazy, George, me, or the driver? Now see the type of confusion, a type of funny situation is there. Means now I means everybody was thinking, now who is crazy? Crazy is called with abnormal behavior. You can say mad. Now who is mad? George was mad, I was mad, or driver was mad? We had almost reached the Kotla, and I had no intention of watching over cousin George through a whole day's play. Now, finally, we reached the destination, and that was the Kotla cricket ground. Okay. Now, intention is called plan. Means the writer doesn't want to go to see the match because the test match is going to be played for long hours, and he doesn't want to spend this long hour. He gets excited at the cricket matches, which is strange considering how dull they can be. Now, George was getting very excited, very happy, but the writer was feeling so dull, so pathetic, so boring. How can I go and see this full test match? Means test match, these are not a type of 2020 or one day matches, so that they are having only 20 overs or 50 overs. Test match goes so long, so at a time they became dull. On one occasion, he broke through the barriers and walked up to the wickets with his bat, determined to bat at number 3, Ranji's favorite position apparently. Now, at one time, we were watching the match, okay? So, after some time, he stood up and broke the barriers. So, barriers were there now, like outside around all the field, so many barriers and like fences or railings were there, so that no audience can come inside the cricket ground. But George broke one of the barrier, come inside the wicket, come inside the cricket ground, taking his wicket and his bat, and he was thinking that he was Ranji. Ranji was a person, I told you, the famous cricketer of England. He was thinking himself Ranji, who is going to come to bat on position 3, on number 3, and assaulted an umpire who tried to escort him from the ground. Now, assaulted is called attacked. Okay, and escort is called when you lead something. Lead means when you show the way, that go from here. Okay, when he when he came in the middle of the ground, cricket ground, then he attacked with his bat the umpire. There is umpire. Okay, so he tried to attack on the umpire, but umpire lead him from the ground. Umpire told him, just take him away from the ground. On another occasion, he streaked across the ground, and occasion is called other time. Means at one time he came inside the cricket ground, and when umpire shows him the way, that go out, so at the other time he streaked across. He streaked across is called nobody came, and he start rain. He ran away from them and come across the ground, wearing nothing but his protective box. He was wearing nothing but his protective box. Means bat was left there, and whatever the wicket was left there, whatever he is taking in his hand, he all left there, and he was wearing the protective box. So with that protective box, he came back, he ran from the cricket ground. But it was I who confirmed the driver's worst fear by jumping off the rickshaw as it slowed down and making my gateway. Now, all this thing which is told by the writer, by Ruskin Bond, that all happened in the past. Means this is not the first time. This time they are sitting in rickshaw. All the things that are going inside the mind of the writer, means they have not reached the Kotla. He was just telling about the previous incidents, when the George also came before some time to his home, and they went to the cricket match. So at one time he just go inside the stadium, just went inside the stadium and tried to attack on the empire. Then at the again time, he just went inside, and again without any thing besides protective box he was wearing, he ran out from the cricket ground. So he was just thinking all the things in his mind, that one time, that how many times George came to his home, every time they went to see the match, and every time George create a type of problem. Sometime he went inside the cricket ground, sometime he ran off the cricket ground. So all the things were going in the mind, and then what the writer did, writer jump off from the rickshaw. As the auto rickshaw slowed down the speed, as you can see in the picture, writer jump out from the auto rickshaw, and just he went to his own way. I have never been able to discover if cousin George had any money with him, or if the rickshaw driver got paid. Now he was thinking that George is having money or not, means he jumped out from the rickshaw, so he has not given any money to rickshaw driver. Now who were in the rickshaw left? Only driver and George. So the writer was saying, I was not discovering, I was not finding and searching it that George is having money or not, or the rickshaw driver is paid or not. Rickshaw drivers are inclined at times to be violent, but then so are inmates of the mental hospital. Now he was thinking, sometimes rickshaw drivers are so cruel and so bad natured people that they can be also violent. Violent is called attacker. Okay, and inmates of the mental hospital means the persons who are living inside the mental hospital, means they can also be attacker, and sometime rickshaw driver can also be attacker, means we don't know which type of behavior they are carrying. That's why. Anyway, George seems to have no memory of the incidents. Means after that, after some time, he got to know that George forgot about all this, that they were all going in the rickshaw and auto rickshaw, and they are making the driver confused. Then the writer jumped off all the rickshaw, means all this incidents, George forgot all the incidents. 3 days later, I received words from the hospital that he had returned of his own accord. Now, after 3 days, he received a phone call from the hospital, and they told him that George came back to the hospital on his own accord. Own accord means with his own choice. Nobody forced him to take him to the hospital and admitted him. With his choice, with his own choice, he returned to the mental hospital, boasting that he had hit a century. So presumably he had participated in a match in some form or another. Now after coming back to the mental hospital, means George was not normal behavior. Okay, that's why he was admitted in mental hospital. So after coming there, he was boasted. Boasting means when you are talking something very high-fi, means the fake things you are telling, that this has done. So George was saying about himself, see, I went to see the cricket match, and there I played the cricket match, and I hit a century because I am Ranji. Means he was participated in the match as a player. Means one of the match he participated, then other match, means all the false things about himself George was saying to the people. All's well that ends well, or so I like to think, but I was thinking everything is fine now, means all the things has happened now, nothing is happened, nobody is got suffered with anything. Cousin George was not usually a violent man, but I have a funny feeling about the rickshaw driver. Means George was not having a violent. I told you earlier in the last page that George was a good man. He was not having any attacking nature. Okay, but he was not knowing how the rickshaw driver was there. Means when he jumped off the rickshaw, then only 2% left in the rickshaw. Then what would have happened? Who knows? Means George attacked on him, or driver attacked on him. Driver confused him. Whatever is there. So nobody knows about that. I never saw him again in Delhi, and unless he had moved elsewhere. Now the writer is saying he never saw him in Delhi, that rickshaw driver. Maybe he went out elsewhere, the other place from Delhi. I am afraid his disappearance might well be connected with cousin George's rickshaw ride. Now the writer is going to be afraid, he is having fear, means the rickshaw driver must have a very good type of connection, a good type of time when I left both of them in the rickshaw. And because of the George's behavior, means George was sitting in his rickshaw and George was a mad person. Okay, so what type of time he spent with George, that he had just ran away from the Delhi also. After all, the Jamuna is very near the Kotla. Now the writer was thinking maybe the driver must have ran to the Jamuna, because that is Jamuna is very near to the Kotla, that is in Delhi, and in Delhi Jamuna river is there. So maybe he just jumped off of the Jamuna or go elsewhere from the Jamuna, nothing is known. So this was the story by Ruskin Bond. Now there is a note about Ranji or Ranjit Singh Ji. he was a cricketer, was a Maharaja Jam Sahib of Nawabnagar, widely regarded as one of the greatest batsmen Ranji played for the English cricket team. Now he was Maharaja Jam Sahib of Nawabnagar, and he was also a cricketer who played from the side of England. So this was the explanation of the chapter. It's a very funny story as well as a little bit confused. So if you want, you can listen to the explanation again and then try to give the explanation of lines of the story yourself. Okay. Now some new words from the chapters are bundle, that is means send a person quickly. Off and on means from time to time. Take in means go to see match, movie, etc. Delusion means false belief about oneself. Protective box, a box below the waist to protect while betting. Cuts means strokes in cricket. Cut glass decanter is called decorated bottle glass to drink. Straighten out means make understand the problem. Sanity means state of healthy mind. Intention is called plan. Assaulted means attacked. Escort means to lead. Streaked is called rain across. And of his accord means without being asked. So all the new words, just try to speak yourself, write them in your notebook and learn. And with these hard words, try to give the explanation of the chapter. So that's it for now. We'll meet again.